This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
Rooker, it's a 5 on a deep center. Robert going back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Dolis Garcia swings on the other way. That sends Carroll back. He's at the wall. Grows. Ronald Acuna, another milestone in a truly historic season.
Julio with an absolute nuke out to left field.
It's Glaber Day. And like a good Glaber, Torres is there.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe. From humidors to Stuff Plus to walk-off dingers, we have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live. We have a very, very exciting show today. One of my all-time favorites has called it a career. And what a career it was. My man Josh Donaldson is going to be on the program today. And if you've followed my career, you know I've done a lot with Donaldson over the years. And he's always going to be a guy that I really cherish the time and got to know him real well. Got to know him so well that he's retired and he's coming on the program from a golf course in Alabama. Love me some JD. We hit it off. I can tell you we've recorded it. And it's great to see him. I'm happy for him. He's going out on his terms. I mean, you just start thinking about Josh Donaldson's career, and you're talking about an MVP, a three-time All-Star. It got the most votes for the All-Star game, which is kind of like you think back on it. If you remember, Donaldson came over from Chicago in the Rich Harden trade, showed up in 2010 for a couple games. At then, I want to say at then, 2010, it was still the Sky Dome in Toronto, right? It wasn't the Rogers Center yet.
Yeah.
Played a couple games and then vanished back to the minor leagues, and we wouldn't see him until 2012. And all of a sudden, late in 2012, he becomes the A's starting baseman, helps that run, one of the historic runs in A's history. And he's a fan favorite. We love us some Josh Donaldson because you know why? He played hard. He had bravado. I wish, I know it's not going to happen because I'll never forget we were talking about favorite A's, and I brought up favorite A's, and I brought up Josh Donaldson as our general manager. David Force was on hold, and he went, Donaldson, huh? Remember that?
Yeah.
But to me, I'd love to bring Donaldson back. You need guys like that. You need somebody. I put Donaldson on the back fields. Let him talk to these minor leaguers. Build them up. Talk about the confidence you have to have. Johnny Gomes has one of the great stories about Josh Donaldson. Johnny Gomes shows up in 2012. And Johnny Gomes down at spring training. And he's watching this guy hit. And he's just hitting tankers. And he's got swagger. And this is why Bob Melvin always believed Johnny Gomes could be a great manager. Johnny, I don't know. Johnny's got like 5 kids. Johnny's got a lot going on, right? I don't know if that time would be right now. But Johnny's got the eye for the game. He's got the eye for the sport. Johnny Gomes said, who's this guy? And Johnny Gomes will tell you there was people with the A's that went, with Donaldson. And Johnny Gomes is like, are you watching this kid play? Are you looking at the athleticism? Are you looking at the pop? Let me talk to him. Johnny Gomes took Josh Donaldson under his wing, and next thing you know, Josh Donaldson is the American League MVP with the Toronto Blue Jays, which I predicted when he left, going to that bandbox, he would win MVP. He was a terrific A. And you're going to hear about his time here. Josh Donaldson on the program today. He's now retired. He's got young kids, recently married, got a ton of money. I forgot to look up how much he made. Think about this. A guy that was, what was he going to be? His minor, sitting in the minor leagues. Probably at some point, a lot of people thought this guy will never even make the big leagues, or after 2010, he'd never get called up again. And in the end, he made $172 million.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
$172 million for a guy who got called up. How many games was it in 2010? He actually got in 14 games. I thought he only got in a couple, but he got in 14 games. Hit one home run and batted 156. Years later, he's made $172 million. Angels today. We get in with Johnny. Know your Angels.
Yeah, and we're good. So the plan is to play Donaldson at 10:30. We're going to have Rhett Bollinger, who covers the Angels, at 11 to preview the Halos without Shohei Ohtani. Rendon tweaked his groin, I think, yesterday. So there's that. And then Know Your Angels with Johnny. There's some interesting ones on there. And in regards to, I reached out to our good friend Mark Gubazaw, and Gooby said, I love coming on with you guys. You know that, but I'm just kind of busy right now. So let's do it when the season starts.
Royals Hall of Fame. Oh, Gooby's great to us. He's one of our Gooby, Sparksy. Like, we have a group in the AL West who guys that have been on this program from other teams the most. Mark Gubazaw, always one of my favorites. I loved him as a kid growing up. Royals Hall of Famer.
Mark Langston is on Know Your Halos.
Is he really?
Yeah.
San Jose, the greatest San Jose State Spartan baseball player.
Yes.
Brought up the other night because I had dinner at the Catronios. Vince living big out in Gilbert, Arizona. Did you know that?
But yes.
Vinny's living like a king out in Arizona. So his beautiful wife, Veronica, I went out to the Catronio compound for dinner. And they, because of his time in Houston, they spent a lot of time with the Caminettis back when Ken played for Houston, and his ex-wife. They know the Caminettis real well. And I had to let them know that, at some point, San Jose State, because, Ken Caminetti was a great player at San Jose State, Ken Caminetti and I will have our number 21 retired together.
It's good to know. Where we're going to be, there should be a whole ceremony.
Yeah, I'll be there.
We know the head coach, Brad Sanfilippo.
Ken and I both wore number 21 at San Jose State.
Well, he actually inherited it from you, didn't he?
Oh, no, he's a lot older than I am.
Oh, that's right. Kemeny played in the 80s. Sorry.
Yeah,
80s.
He's a lot older.
I just kept thinking he won the MVP in 96. I'm like, oh, he must have been young when he won the MVP. No, that's my bad.
He was on some Olympic team in like 80-something.
Was he on the team with McGuire?
No, he wasn't. I think he's he's younger than they are. I think McGuire, Will Clark, and those guys.
Kemeny was born in 63, so he would have been, what was his first year in the majors? Ken Caminetti's first year in the major leagues was 1987 at age 24.
I'm a sophomore in high school. He's a little older than I am. But I think everybody will remember the, number 21 for both of us.
It's fair. I mean, we should probably get Coach Peraro on and see what's number 21 he remembers more.
Oh, it's me for sure.
When I walk into the when I walk into SAP Center where the Sharks play, they blew a 6-3 lead last night. That's here.
Yes,
here
when you go, they have this San Jose Hall of Famers
the San Jose
at the Shark Tank.
I see Ken Caminiti. I see Sam Peraro.
Olympians.
I don't see you up there yet.
Who, me?
Yeah, we got a lobby to get you in there.
But Coach Peraro knows who interviews him all the time and takes care of him. So
he's in like 9 Hall of Fames. So we got
my old baseball coach is in so many Hall of Fames. It's ridiculous. Okay, so Know Your Angels with Johnny. Our buddy Josh Donaldson on the program today. Something happened that in our world normally would be like, God, that's awful. And you never want to say that, okay, I don't even know how to word this. I'm just going to do this like I'm for the front office. Luis Medina has hurt his knee.
Yes, it was a right knee sprain over there.
That would be panic.
Now it's a grade 2 MCL sprain.
That would be panic, right, to start the season. But you know what? There's a chance he wouldn't make the rotation. There is that chance. And he's out of options. You do not want to lose this arm. At this age, you do not want to lose this kid. There's no way. How old is he? 25?
Yeah, he's not Medina.
He's a youngin'. He's been pitching for a long
24.
time. He's 24. You do not want to lose him. So, a hurt knee means you can put him on the IL, and you don't have to make that decision.
Correct.
So
yes.
I never want to look at an injury as a positive for an athlete, but getting hurt allows the A's to put him on the IL, and because you're going to have that. You're going to have that problem with Kyle Muller. I mean, that's just the business, right? So people just can't always be stashing players. So Medina going to probably start the season on the IL. That's a bad thing, but also could be a good thing.
Yeah, and he was pitching well this spring. I mean, a lot of the A's starting pitchers have pitched well this spring. Don't let that what happened in the fifth inning against the Reds the other day, where there's like 10 runs scored. Deter. I mean, Medina was pitching well. Joe Boyle, who's pitching today, has pitched great in spring training, trying to win that fifth starter spot, which we know there won't be only 5 starters this year. There will be probably at least 14, because we had how many last year? 24.
24.
So
24 starting pitchers last year.
Yeah, I don't think the 2013 Detroit Tigers are on the phone with Pfister and Sanchez and Verlander and Scherzer, and I'm forgetting a couple of guys, but they only used like 7 or 8 starters that year or whatever it was. I don't think that's going to happen, because we've seen some other injuries happen with starting pitchers with guys like Sonny Gray. Verlander is going to be on the IL to start the year, which kind of stinks because we want to see him get to 300 wins. He's 43 away. Lucas Giolito has an arm injury, might be out for the year. So a lot of pitching injuries over the last day.
That is have to talk about, though, because this is something that I learned down at Ho-Ho Camp. So got done with the show. You were already gone. I was still there. It was whatever inning, 4th or 5th inning. I walked back to the Delta Hotel and made it, survived. But on my way out, guess who I ran into?
Cavill.
I'm on it. So he's coming up the stairs. I'm coming out, and all I hear is, "Hey, Towny." It's Dave Cavill. And so I go up to Cavill. Hey, how's everything going? We started rapping. And then I told him, I've never seen the renderings.
We're on it.
I haven't seen them. He's like, you haven't seen them? What you saw yesterday, I got to see down at Ho-Ho Camp. And I was blown away. I was like, that's incredible. That's incredible. You can check it out, MLB.com/athletics/Las-Vegas-ballpark. Do they have to put the dashes in there?
I thought it was just athletics.com/Vegas.
Oh, I'm just on the page right now. So MLB.com/Vegas.
Yeah, athletics.com/Vegas.
All right, that'll be better. Athletics.com/Vegas. I'm looking at it right now. MLB.com/Vegas. Athletics.com/Vegas to check out the renderings. I mean, you look at this and you get to see the MGM Grand. You get to see New York, New York. I mean, come on, man. And the one thing, Dan Otero, and I'm not going to get totally into this, but Dan Otero, we knew about this. We didn't know exactly the look. And how about the scoreboard on the side? I mean, it's going to be the largest scoreboard in baseball. It's going to be dope. Dan Otero, who's now in that unique position between, he works for Major League Baseball, but he's the go-between between baseball. He and Rajay Davis and a couple other former players, they're that go-between between baseball and the players. So Dan Otero comes on the show, if you watched it, from Nashville. And Dan Otero told us about the ballpark because he had seen the renderings in some meeting. And we started talking about a retractable roof. And Dan was like, no, it's not going to be a retractable roof. And then Dan was the one who told us the dirty little secret, because we don't know, well, how often do people use their retractable roofs? And the reality is they don't. They hardly use it in Arizona. They have barely used it in Texas, and they don't use it. And Houston's been around now a long time. They never open that thing up. It's very rare. Probably the one team that does. It seems like they do it like on Sundays, but it's not a lot either, is the Rogers Center in Toronto.
Seattle has one too. They open theirs a good bit, I think.
They don't open a lot because it's always raining.
In the summer, well, the All-Star game, I'm pretty sure the All-Star game was open.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. But
a lot of it, every single time I've been there, I've never been there. I've been there quite a few times. I've never been there when it opens. So they have to basically, according to Dan Otero, working for Major League Baseball now, when you have seen roofs open in Arlington and Houston and this year in Arizona, it was Major League Baseball who basically told them they had to do it. You realize that?
Yeah, though I remember that during the World Series. That they told
they don't want to do it.
Well,
So it's like, what's the point of having it? But I get it. At least you have that option. With this whole glass outfit, everything will be enclosed. Everybody's going to be in AC. It looks really sweet. And then you see left field, those luxury boxes that are right on the field. I mean, it's pretty incredible. Athletics.com/Vegas. What are you doing?
I'm trying to find that stat that Otero told us that you can track. Like, there's a way to track how many times the roof's been open.
It's not a lot. Like Houston, like how many times did we play Houston and it's never open?
Yeah, I don't remember it really ever being open against Texas.
And Houston, it's weird because when it's open, it's got the weird shadows.
Yeah.
You know, Texas, remember when they first started opening it in Arlington for the World Series in the COVID year and the wind was swirling having been to Arlington, not to the new ballpark, but the ballpark right across the street, they have awful weather. It's Texas. It's awful. And it's swirling. The wind's constant. Remember the jet stream at the old one was Globe Life Park or Field?
Field.
And this one's Globe Life Park?
Yes, I should know. I've been to the new one.
I've been to the old one and I don't know.
Yeah, the old one was Park. This one's Field.
Okay, so at Globe Life Park, the old one, remember the jet stream out to right center? Because it's windy every day, all day in Texas. In the summer, my God. And so they opened it up for the World Series between the Rays and the Dodgers. As soon as they opened it up, the wind came in. And that's why they don't want to open it up. So it's like, check it out, folks. Athletics.com/Vegas. And when I got to see him, when Cavill showed him to me at spring training, it's like, wow. Pretty spectacular. All righty. Do you want to continue with Luis Medina or any other news?
That's the only news from our end. I really seen it, but A's, when it comes to injuries or health updates, we didn't have a game yesterday, so there's really nothing to report on.
That's right. We had a day off. Wasn't that strange?
The next one's the 21st. It's a Thursday. There's an off day, and then that's it. There's just 2 days off in spring. So today against the Angels, tomorrow against the Guardians, and then Friday it's a split squad. But with the game you'll hear on A's Cast and on Bloom, just on A's Cast, I believe, is the game against the Brewers in Vegas for the big league weekend.
I saw a stat that literally blew my mind. And this one stat, to me, is the stat that could change everything for the A's season. This one stat. It's one stat. It's a simple stat. It's not some crazy metric. You didn't have to have Bill James come together with some crazy equation to then give it some stupid name that no one knows. No weighted whatever plus. One simple stat that could vault the A's to an absolute new world in 2024. Do you have any idea what this stat could be?
Does that have to do with pitching?
Everything has to do with pitching, because if you don't pitch, you got no chance.
True. And
I'll take it back to football. If you can't stop the run, can you play?
No.
Are you going to win games if you can't rush the quarterback?
No.
It's that simple. You can't stop the run. They'll run it down your throat, and then all of a sudden that offensive coordinator with that laminated up there in the booth, that laminated all his plays, they'll now all work. If a football team can run the football, that opens up the entire playbook, and then he can call any play it's going to work. You are done. So defense, if you can't play defense, you might as well not even leave Arizona for spring training. And defense, by the way, is part of your pitching. Is part of your what?
Defense.
What is the one stat the A's could improve on? And it will change. 50 wins might get way more wins.
Well, there was a lot of things that were wrong with the pitching last year, but one thing that was really bad for the A's was their inability to get guys out in too many walks. So I'm going to say walks.
I saw this and I was floored. I forgot about it, and I've been reminded about it as I was studying your. What is their name now? What's the Angels' name now? Do they have? They still trying to act like they're in L.A. when they're in Orange County?
I thought they were still the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Disney or Artie Moreno.
Just go back to the California Angels.
Where's the rally monkey? Oh, here he is. Here he is. The original rally monkey. This is what these idiots do. I actually, you know what? I hate the Angels, but I do feel bad for them a little bit.
I mean, my wife's I live with an Angels fan.
It's been rough sledding for him. It's been rough sledding. But for the A's, the most walks last year given up in Major League Baseball. The Cincinnati Reds, 613. The Angels, 636. This is awful. White Sox, 654. That's awful.
Yeah.
That is awful. That is like, oh my God, and still we're not at the A's yet. The A's walked, how many games we play?
162.
Get your calculator out. A's walked 694 guys last year. How many is that in 162? What are we averaging?
It's about 4.3 a game.
Oh my God. 694 walks in a season? Every single pitching coach in the world will tell you, you cannot defend a walk. You cannot defend a walk. Now, there are certain times during the year, right? Years ago at Candlestick Park, Barry Bonds comes up with the bases loaded and Buck Showalter says, screw this, walk him. Every once in a while you got to walk a guy, right? There can be a quality time when you got a red hot hitter, an all-time great coming up, just walk his ass. I don't even want to deal with it. But for the most part, 694. We walk 694. You know, when you're living in a disaster, like when you're on the Titanic and the water's gushing in, you don't necessarily worry about all the little details. The boat's going down. So are you worrying about how the boat's going down, or are you just, oh my God, the boat's going down?
Oh my God, the boat's going down.
So you forget about all the little details because the boat was going down and we were all on it, and it was like, well, here we go. The little details, 600. Can you imagine? Gentlemen, we cut down on those walks. All of a sudden, Paul Blackburn is back and shows consistency. Wood, Stripling, veteran pitchers, throw strikes. J.P. Sears, love him, throw strikes. And then now Joe Boyle, who we talked to him down to spring training, and Joe Boyle talked about how, man, I got to go back to just doing what I do and stop listening to all these different people. Because that's the problem when you're in the minor leagues. We've got all these different people. You've got a pitching coach. You got a roving pitching coach. You got all these people. You're down spring training. You got way too many cooks in the kitchen for these kids. Way too many. Way too many. And Joe Boyle obviously is very bright. He's very analytical, right? We found out his fiance works in the analytics department for Cleveland. So he's got a lot of information at his disposal, but he's getting back to what he does and what feels comfortable, and it's allowing him to throw strikes. If the A's cut down on this number alone, they will win far more games. There were so many games that we got hammered and we gave up double-digit runs. It's because of the walks.
What was the one game against the Mets? How many walks were there that game against the Mets? It was like
it
was over 10.
If you went through my scorebook from last year, I can't tell you how many games I just stopped keeping score. I had it, especially towards the end of the year. The end of the year we got better, But there was just times during the year where I just went, why am I wasting the ink? And I put my pens down and said, screw it. If someone brings up, are any of the callers really going to be like, well, in the 5th inning when you're now giving up your 12th run? No. So I stopped keeping score in some games, which I never do.
Real quick, surprisingly, when you talk about starting pitchers, and JP Sears, the most consistent guy the A's had last year, walks weren't an issue for him. It was the home runs. He was actually one of the better guys in the league when it came to walks.
You're going to give up home runs. You're going to that drives me nuts when people like, well, this guy, remember Lance Lynn gave up a bunch of home runs.
I think he gave up the most in baseball.
Right? And you're like, you're going to give up home runs. The sport is built on home runs. Everything we do is geared toward the hitters. We have shrunk. All you got to do is watch yesteryear baseball. Go watch Sandy Koufax. What year was that against the Twins? 66? 66, 67, 68. I think 66. Yeah, because 68 would have been Gibson up against McLean.
1965.
65. Go look if you've ever watched on MLB Network Sandy Koufax pitching on three days rest against the Minnesota Twins and Harmon Killebrew, the killer. The strike zone is top of the chest to the bottom of the knees, outside. Sandy Koufax is blowing like 100 on 3 days rest. His curveball's dropping off and everything's called a strike. Everything. Nowadays, we've shrunk the strike zone. Players, who knows what players are on these days? We know the balls are super hard, right? We had scientists who were opening baseballs going, wait a minute. Ballparks, they're not making ballparks bigger. They're making ballparks smaller. Scott Emerson, our pitching coach, has said for years, check the bats. These bats don't break like they used to. You don't see the bat just, you now see the bat breaks, and these bats are so hard that when they break, the barrel comes out like a spear onto the field. Like a boomerang coming out. Everything's built for offense because people want to see offense. It's the entertainment business. I get it. But with that, you're going to give up home runs. It was the same thing that they had to do in football with cornerbacks. You're going to give up touchdowns. The rules are stacked against you on defense in the NFL. They want touchdowns. You will get burnt. That's just the way you're going to get pass interferences and you're going to get burnt for touchdowns. But you got to be able to let that go and get ready for the next series. Same thing with pitching. You're going to give up home runs. You just want to be solo. But it's hard to give up solo home runs when you walk 694 guys. So that is the stat right there. Stat of the preseason. Your pick-to-click stat, according to Johnny. 694. That's mind-blowing. I mean, basically, you walk 700 guys in 162 games. You cut that down, you win more games. Because now all of a sudden, you have way more cleaner innings. Your defense will get better. Your positioning on defense will get better because when you start putting guys on base, you got to position your defense differently. Everything will get better around you. You'll give up less runs. Your pitchers will get more outs. Your pitchers will throw more innings. Guys going deeper into games, saving your best relievers for true high-leverage situations. Walks are bad. Walks are like giving up on first down 6 yards on a run. That's awful. You're giving up first down. They run it for 6 yards. Now they've got 2 downs to get 4 yards. Bad. That's bad. That's bad. Your defense is like giving up. You're getting gashed for 6-8 yards a carry. That's what walks are. And you are not going to survive that. So there's your stat of the spring right there. It took me researching the Angels to remember how bad we were at free passes. They're called free passes. Free passes are good when you're getting into Disneyland.
Fair, the fact.
Free passes are great when you're getting into a concert. Free passes in baseball are great when you're on offense, when you're on defense. It's death. It's death. It's absolute death. How many people if you ask people last year, who gave up the most walks? How many people do you think of baseball? I mean, because all these national guys, literally, they're terrible. Like, listen to like some of the things they've been talking about. I'm not getting on some of our friends, and I'm not going to mention who, but there's some of them, their takes are just terrible. If you went to them and you said, okay, who had the most walks last year? How many people would immediately go the A's? I bet they wouldn't.
I would say they probably wouldn't even know. Yeah.
Wouldn't have a clue. Well, that's a big deal. Let me tell you, that is a huge, huge deal. You give up that many walks, you are going to be in big time trouble. That's just a reality. And you got to cut. If you don't cut it out, it's death. That's the one thing. And you know what? Scott Emerson knows it. The pitchers know it. But this is what makes me believe the A's are going to be far better this season than they were last year, because you're not going to have that revolving door. We're not going to be looking. The top 30 prospect list came out for the A's. And has every team come out yet?
I know they did the AL and NL Central yesterday, so I'm assuming yes, because it looks like because ours is out, so I'm assuming the AL and NL West is out today. So I'm assuming they're all out now, because my friends were sending me stuff about the NL Central. But yeah, now that I'm assuming they're all out now.
Did you tell your friends to get a life?
Everyone's mad because the number one pick in the draft last year, Paul Skeens, at the Pirates drafted, it's going to start in the minor leagues. It's like, do you really think he was going to make the big league rotation?
Yeah, why is he not in the big league rotation?
He needs more seasoning.
No, he doesn't.
He
was ready to go out of LSU.
Well, they say big league seat, they need more seasoning.
Do they really say that?
He needs more time in AAA, yeah.
They said that.
The quote was something along those lines. He needs time and to develop more.
There are so many. You know what? I wish I could be commissioner for the day. There are so many things that we are back ass words in baseball. And that's another thing about our national media people that we bring on, and that they all buy into this stuff. It's hot garbage. How you draft a guy out of college, he's a star, and you think he needs to sit in AAA. Really? We're in the entertainment business. You're trying to sell tickets. No, they're not. They're not. You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to hold a guy back.
Boxes he still needs to check.
No, he doesn't. What? What does he need to check? And he won't tell you, because he's not going to tell you we don't want to start his clock. That is one of the cool things about the A's, from Billy Beane now to David Forrest. When they think a guy's ready, bring him up. Bring him up. I'm not going to have a guy be in AAA and pull the old Chris Bryant with the Chicago Cubs. That is garbage. Why would you draft a guy? Can you imagine? We're going to draft Michael Jordan, but he needs some seasoning, so we're going to put him back in the minor league. You know, we're going to put him in the, what do we call the G League, D
yes.
League, Gatorade League?
G
What the hell
League,
do we call that? Yeah, we're going to put, I'm not going to use Steph Curry. Jordan's going to play with the Santa Cruz Warriors.
It's an attraction, at least for them. But yes, I get where
We're
you're
going
going.
to take Magic Johnson out of Michigan State. He needs some seasoning. We're going to put him with the Santa Cruz Warriors.
What about Peyton Manning playing
Peyton Manning.
NFL Europe?
Dan Marino's coming out of Pitt, and he's going to play for the Santa Cruz Warriors. I mean, you say that stuff, and it sounds utterly ridiculous. But yet, that's what we do in baseball, and everybody's on board. These guys, I mean, it's like everybody covering our sport can't get out of the archaic baseball way. The national writers can't, broadcasters can't. I mean, I listen to our guys on Sirius XM. We bring them all on. We love them all. But some of their takes are like, dude, it's 2024. It's 2024, and you're still acting like a kid who dominated LSU. He's the number one pick. Now he's dominated in the minor leagues. He throws 100+ miles an hour. He needs boxes to check in AAA. You're wasting it in AAA. These guys only got so many bullets, and you're wasting it in games that truly don't matter. Who does that in business and in life? Nobody. He's ready to go. You just don't want to start his clock. It's like, oh my God, baseball is so stupid. We're going to not have our best players play? We're not going to, just think about that. We, as an organization, are not going to play our best players.
Great example. And if you want to look at another sport, Connor Bedard was the number 1 pick in the NHL draft this year. Sharks missed out, draft lottery, whatever. So the Blackhawks got Connor Bedard. He's supposed to be the next big thing. Where do you think he started the year at in the NHL? He was on the big club for the Blackhawks on opening night.
How old was Wayne Gretzky?
Yeah.
How old was Wayne Gretzky with the Oilers when he came up? How much seasoning did Wayne Gretzky need?
But by the way, Bedard's 18. So that just, he was just in high school last year.
Yeah.
Gretzky's first year with the Edmonton Oilers, he was 18.
18. Ken Griffey Jr. was here at 19 years old.
Sorry, he was 19.
Ken Griffey was 19. What are you going to have Ken Griffey Jr. hang out in AAA to check boxes? That's insane. Yeah. Mike Trout was how old?
Trout, I think, was a little older because
20.
He can't remember. He came up and went down a couple times.
20.
Trout during his debut was 19, almost 20.
A-Rod?
He was like 18 or 19.
What are we doing? What are you going to do at AAA? Are you kidding me? Why would we even have someone go to AAA? AAA is disaster. It's balls flying out. It's a disaster. I've been taken from AA to the big leagues.
Well, the other
what are you doing?
The other big Major League ready kid is
Barry Sanders. Where you got to send Barry Sanders down to AAA because he's not ready to run the rock 30 times a game. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, another one is Skeens' teammate Dylan Cruz is like the most Major League ready bat in the draft. He's starting the year, I believe, in AAA for the Nationals.
Zach Neto, was he Ole Miss?
No, Campbell University.
It was Campbell?
Yeah.
I was thinking Ole Miss. Zach Neto is starting at shortstop for the Angels out of college. He started last year. What year was that? He was just drafted.
Yeah, the kid that you're thinking of that came, Noah Shanwell, their first baseman, was in college.
He's Ole Miss.
No, he was like Florida International or Florida.
Who's Ole Miss? Why am I thinking Ole Miss?
I'd have to look at their roster, but
do I have Lance Kiffin on my mind?
Sounds like it. Lane Train. Yeah, Shanwell what college was he? So Florida Atlantic. He was drafted last year and was already playing in major leagues.
So Nolan Shanwell is ready to go, but Paul Skeens, the number 1 pick, is not.
That's what they're saying. Ben Cherington, tired GM.
And the fact that the Ken Rosenthals and all these people just accept it and they don't go ballistic over it. It's like, this is the dumbest thing in the world. Klay Thompson drafted him, put him in Santa Cruz. Get the hell out of here.
Well, he didn't play at first. That's why they traded what's his name, Monte Ellis, so Klay could play.
No, Monte Ellis was traded because of Steph Curry.
Well, they also opened up time for Klay to play too. And they got Andrew Bogut back, which changed the franchise.
That was Steph Curry. Couldn't have 2 guys playing the same position.
Yeah, it's fair.
I cannot. It's awful. All right, Josh Donaldson. If you've been following this for years, you know he's my guy. I love Josh Donaldson. I love the way he played. I love what he brought to our organization. He was a tough guy. And did he rub some people wrong? Sure. But you know what? You need people like that. Because sometimes I haven't always loved cards on the table. I haven't always loved the A's clubhouse is like a frat house. I haven't always loved that, to be honest with you. At times, yeah. But, other times you gotta be a tough guy. Tough guys win in those brutal situations, in those really hard, big pressure situations, like the playoffs. Tough guys win those games. We hate the Yankees. I get it. We hate the Yankees, but damn it, those guys were, and don't give me they were all bought and paid for. Jeter was the one guy but Jeter was a skinny little shortstop out of Michigan, right? Mariano Rivera wasn't a top anybody. He was a failed starter who found a grip. And next thing you know, he's the greatest closer of all time. One of them. You can make the case for Rollie Fingers. Jorge Posada.
Yeah, I don't know if he was I don't know if he was in the top.
But you know what,
top
man?
100
You
prospects.
put those SOBs in the postseason, and they were tough to knock out.
Bernie Williams.
They were tough. They were tough to knock out. The Yankees, if that late 90s, into the 2000s, you talk about the Yankees, they're the last team to repeat, and they won 3 in a row. Could have been 4 in a row if it wasn't for our friend, Luis Gonzalez. But I'll tell you what, if they were a boxer, what a chin they had, man. If you're going to knock the Yankees out, you had to be tough. And there are quite a few teams who lack that. As much as, the Hudson, Moeller, Zito, Giambi, Tejada. When it got time to go late rounds in a boxing match, you didn't have a chin, and you got knocked out. You know who didn't have a very good chin? The Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves had those great teams, probably the 3 best starters we've ever seen together, won championship. They'd get to the World Series and get knocked out. There's something about toughness that you got to have in your clubhouse, in your locker room. Doesn't matter the sport. The Warriors have had it. It's one of the reasons why everybody loves Draymond Green, because Draymond Green brought you need somebody's got to be an a-hole. Somebody's got to be the tough guy. There's got to be, I want to use a certain word, but I can't. I could, but it's a family show. But you got to have that guy in the clubhouse. Not everything can be like, it's a frat house. Everything's great. Remember back in the day with the Giambi era, they all had the doom buggies going and everything. Oh, that's cute. Why don't you show up big time in the postseason? Some teams don't. Like the Dodgers have not had a chin. The Atlanta Braves had it 1 year, but this current Atlanta Braves team hasn't had a chin. You got to have a chin, man. You got to be tough. And Josh Donaldson brought that edge. He gave the A's that edge. As guys are walking around in robes, love me some Johnny Goma, Josh Reddick, and everybody loved those storylines. Somebody's got to be the tough guy, and that was Josh Donaldson. He brought it every day. He's the guy diving into the tarp. He's the guy doing everything he can to win games. Josh Donaldson was the player that, you know what? He cared about winning before his stats. And you know who loved Josh Donaldson? Bob Melvin loved him. They had a great relationship. You're going to hear about this. But Josh Donaldson, I mean, you guys watched him play. You know what he brought. He brought it. And you need a lot of players like that. He is now retiring. Here is JD from the golf course. Here on A's Cast Live, I said it for many years. I've been doing this a long time. He's truly one of my favorites, and I know he is such a fan favorite to all you A's fans. Josh Donaldson has decided to retire. What a career it was for him. You start looking at the accomplishments, even though I know he didn't play for him. He was an AL MVP, a 3-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger Award winner of the Hank Aaron Award, NL Comeback Player of the Year, RBI leader. JD, it is great to see you. Congratulations. You had a hell of a career.
I appreciate it, brother. And, I'm glad that you reached out to me because it's kind of bringing it all full circle, really for me and for you and I both. I remember in Japan, you and I talking and, me probably sounded a little full myself and you probably wondered who the hell is this guy? And, but I kind of like him a little bit. And, so it's great to be here.
I think about when we first saw you. It was 2010. You came up in Toronto for like a couple games as a catcher, and then you vanished again. The one thing that was always so impressive about you was your belief in you. Why was always that strong belief? Maybe you're hanging out in Sacramento, you're tired of being in AAA, but you always believed you could be a great player.
I think it just goes back to, an adage that I remember my coaches telling me, my mom telling me growing up. And, if you don't believe in yourself, how can you expect someone else to believe in you? And, that rang home for me. And it wasn't always well perceived, as a kid growing up. And, probably definitely some times where I I probably wasn't mature and said some things, about myself that I was better than somebody at the time or whatever when I was, an adolescent. But I just think it was, growing up in a single parent home and, always kind of being, you get looked at differently. And I think that was kind of my way of, all right, I'm going to show everybody what time it is.
Well, and a lot of people forget you're a really good football player, too. You always played with a football mentality.
Yeah, I did. That's why I love the Coliseum so much because, there was so much foul territory. It just brought me back to the days where I was running underneath balls and catching. It kind of reminds me of the story. We were playing the Yankees against Derek Jeter, and this is before the tarp catch and all that stuff. And I think he'd hit a foul ball or Teixeira hit a foul ball, and I was running after it, and I was like chop stepping, like timing it because to jump into the stands. And I remember I hit a double my next at bat, and Jeter looks at me. He's like, "Hey, young fella," he's like, "you need to take it easy out there. There's 162 of these." And I go, "No offense, Mr. Jeter, but I've been waiting to make this play my entire life." I go, there's no way that if I get the opportunity to jump in the stands to catch one, that I'm not doing it. I will do it. And he just kind of started laughing. And then, sure enough, had the tarp catch. And then when I was in Toronto, I was able to jump into the stands finally. And if you go back and watch that video, because me and a couple of my buddies who we used to grow up playing baseball with, and we would practice playing, like we called it web gyms. Like that's what we would do, is try to do web gyms in the yard the whole time. And after I make the catch in Toronto in 2015, I kind of come up and I smirk a little bit. Like you see this smile come up on my face. And they're like, "That's that same smile you used to do when you would do that to us in the front yard."
Well, I'll tell you what. I know your kids are young, but if your kids ever wonder if you can play, you can show them that tarp catch.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have to go down the the YouTube alley at some point.
When you look at your time with the A's, talk about how big Bob Melvin was for your career.
Bob was huge in a multitude of different ways. The first time I got sit down in 2012, we were able to have a very, man-to-man talk, and where he spoke to me and I listened, and I spoke to him and he listened. It wasn't just like, "Oh, this guy's some rookie and it doesn't matter," right? Some former catcher or some guy that was a catcher that we moved over to third. He listened to me, and it meant a lot to me whenever I was able to come back up in 2012 at the end of the year. And from the conversation we had, he had told me, he's like, "You're our starting third baseman now. Go out and you're going to play every day. And I don't care if you go 0 for 4 or 4 for 4, you're in the lineup the next day." And I go, "Okay. Like, thank you, first off." And I said, I'm not going to let you down. And I went out there and the last month and a half of the season in 2012, and I hit like 290 with 8 or 9 home runs. And then I remember him coming up to me at the end of the year and him telling me, he's like, because we won the division at the last game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, like, I think around like Seattle or right before the Texas situation or the game, the series, and he tells me, he's like, "We're not in this position right now if you didn't come up and do what you did." So then they told me I was going to make the team for the postseason and that I was going to be the starting third baseman. And, and then the next year I hit, I start the year in the big leagues, hitting 7th, 8th, and I was able to have a conversation with him and ask him, why am I hitting so low in his lineup? And the first time he didn't bite my head off, and I was like, okay, that's acceptable. He didn't kill me, so all right, I'll just go from there. Then I hit for another like week or two, and I go, Bowman, I'm like, why am I hitting so low in your lineup? I'm hitting 5th or 6th now. And he just turned and looked at me. He said the same thing. I go, well, now that wasn't acceptable. To me, I said, all right, well, answer me this. If Miguel Cabrera got traded to your lineup right now, where's he hitting? And he just kind of like looked at me like, really, you're going to compare yourself to Miguel Cabrera? Like that kind of look. And so I look at him back and I said, look, I know I'm not Miguel Cabrera right now. I said, but I'm the Miguel Cabrera lineup. I need to be hitting in the middle of it. And he goes, well, where do you want to hit? I said, I want to hit 3rd. He goes, all right, you're in there tomorrow at 3rd. And from there, like I moved up to 2, but it was never really below the 3 hole. And for me, what that did was instill even more confidence in myself. And also, I want that I thought that I was ready for that.
That was the time when kind of Trout made hitting number 2 chic in the game.
Yeah.
And you realized you wanted your best hitter hitting 2. It's amazing how you are and Bob Melvin, the two of you were perfect for each other, because if you had like an old school curmudgeon guy, who knows how that would have gone. Bob was perfect for you. You move on to Toronto. I predicted you would win an MVP. I said he's going to go to that tiny ballpark and the Sky Dome, Rogers Center, and he's going to tear it up, plus all the smaller ballparks in the AL East.
Yep.
You did exactly that. What was it like for you to get the most votes of anybody at the All-Star game? What was that like?
It was nuts, and I still don't to this day, I don't believe that was true. I feel like they made it up. So, but I think that just symbolizes what playing for the Blue Jays actually means. Like, you're not just playing for a city, like, in Oakland, you're playing you're playing for an entire country when you're with the Blue Jays. And so I do remember Mike Moustakas and them, the Royals. That was one of the years where they had like 9 starting. Like the fans were voting. There was 9 Kansas City Royals starting in the in the All-Star game. We're like, 2 of the guys aren't even playing. They were hurt. And so there was like a big Stephen Amell, who's a actor. He's Canadian, and for some reason I didn't know him, but he started really putting a big campaign out there for me to get in the All-Star game. There's a couple other people who were doing that, and I was like, it just took off. And I feel very lucky and very blessed to be in that situation. But like I said, I guess somewhat of a humble me doesn't think it's true.
Well, I got to tell you, you got a lot to give still to the game. I know you got the kids. I know you love to play golf, but what are you thinking? Could be in broadcasting. I mean, you got a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
What do you think going? I know it's early in your retirement. You just announced it, but what are you thinking long term? Because you do have a lot to give to the game.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, and that means a lot. Coming from you, and I'm sure there's going to be opportunities. I've already had some people reach out to me about some things, working organizational for some organizations, maybe some broadcasting things or TV. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't know. All I really want to know right now is that I'm going to get to spend some time with the kids and the family, and try to get as good as I can at golf. I just have a passion for that as well. And, kind of just take some vacation time, man. I don't think I've ever really had a true vacation to where I was traveling to just vacation in my entire life. I mean, I don't know. So it'll be nice to be able to do stuff like that. I've just been such a baseball fiend, and I've just been absolutely obsessed with the game for a long time. And that was a great thing at times, and that was a bad thing at times. So I kind of just want to push that to the side right now and say, hey, because I pushed a lot of other things in life to the side so I could be who I was today.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you look at the career, you look at the numbers, you look at the years, and what the career ended up being when, 2008, 2009, 2010, even 2011, you would have thought that maybe never is going to happen for you to always have that ultimate belief in yourself. I think it'd be great to have you in spring training to help a lot of these young guys, because this game is so mental. This game is so about confidence. And you were the dude. You always believed you were the dude, and you could inspire a lot of people. For me, you mean a lot to me. I cherished our time in Oakland. You were so good to me. We had a lot of fun. Sometimes this game isn't a lot of fun. We always had a lot of fun, whether it was on camera, on the mic, off. So much respect for you. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy you're going out the way you want to go out. So congratulations. Go enjoy that vacation. Go enjoy those kids. You earned it. And don't be a stranger, because we're going to keep calling you here on A's Cast.
Well, you know what? I would hope that you guys would. And, I've never forgotten my roots, and you guys are my roots. And I've always had a special place in my heart for Oakland. And, even Billy Bean, Billy gave me so many opportunities to get back to the big leagues, to figure it out. And for the guys that we came up with, that we kind of came through the minor leagues together, then you add in a Johnny Gomes, you add in a Brandon Inge, and the coaching staff, Mike Gallego, Kurt Young, Ty Waller, Chili Davis, Bo Mill, Chip Hill, all these guys invested time in me, and really taught me what it was to be a big leaguer. And I'll never forget that.
JD, you're the best. Hit him straight, buddy. Be well. We'll talk to you later this season.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Great stuff. Great stuff. I'm happy for him. And he's happy. By the way, one more time, the great Robert Costa sent this over?
Correct, yes.
All right. The great Robert Costa, listening back in Oakland, sent us this. Let's hear the tarp play one more time. One of the great plays I've ever seen.
And Blevins throws, and that's swung on lifted third base side. Donaldson might catch this, a long run, still racing at the tarp, goes over the tarp and goes into the stands and makes an unbelievable catch. I can't believe that play by Donaldson.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Coming up next, what to expect from the Halos in 2024 right here on A's Cast Live.
Hey, Oakland A's fans, join your team this spring in Mesa. With nonstop flights direct from Oakland, there's never been a better time to head to the Southwest. Surrounded by the stunning Sonoran Desert, spring training fans know why Arizona is the perfect spring break escape. Miles of trails, shoreline, and sunshine combined for an unforgettable Arizona adventure. There's simply no shortage of things to do, see, and discover in Mesa. Get your visitor's guide at visitmesa.com.
Ever since we got Xfinity, we have Wi-Fi all over the house, even in my hiding spots.
Ha! Found you.
How?
That's wall-to-wall Wi-Fi from Xfinity. Now through March 21st, get started with 200 megabit internet for $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract and get Wi-Fi equipment included. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless bill and auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary.
This is Chris Townsend. There are two things that are a must for me: comfort and style. Whether I'm playing golf, going to dinner, I've got to have the right feel. That's why I've partnered with Linksole, and you're going to love Linksole. They have just released their new spring line, new fabrics for their polos, lightweight and perfect for technical performance. Linksole also has new styles for their layers and hoodies with cool prints and seasonal colors. You know what they say in the big leagues: look good, play good. Go to linksole.com. That's linksole.com.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
This is Chris Townsend, and if you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see my friends at the Chicken Pie Shop at Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Streaming from the studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All right, it's time to check in with the Halos. Are we playing at Tempe today, or are we at Hohokam? Where are we?
Tempe.
We're at Tempe. I dig their stadium. It's cool. Old school. Got a great view there. Rhett Bollinger joins us here on A's Cast Live once again. And before we talk baseball, I know you're a USC guy, so we got to ask you, Caleb Williams in the NFL, how good do you think he can be?
I think he can be elite. I really do. I'm a season ticket holder for my Trojans. I went to about 9 games last year and probably 8 the year before that, so I saw him a lot in person too. To me, he's the closest comp, Patrick Mahomes 2.0, but I obviously some stuff off the field. We'll see how that goes, and I really don't think it's that big of a concern with him. I know that some of you like to lose, and some of the fingernail stuff's a little different, but in terms of talent and just his ability to make all sorts of crazy plays, I haven't really seen much like that outside of Mahomes. So I have big hopes for him. I'm excited to see what he does and see if the Bears end up being the team that drafts him and keeps him.
Yeah, when you watch it live, I went down earlier this year. I graduated from San Jose State, so when San Jose State's going to play at USC, road trip, we're all going. So we were down there, and actually we were playing you really tough, and then he makes some crazy plays, and you're like, wow, this is all world talent. It's going to be interesting to see where he's taken. He's a face of the franchise. By the way, I thought Lincoln Riley, I know we'll talk baseball. I thought Lincoln Riley coming out of Oklahoma, slam dunk hire for the Trojans. Are you still as high on Lincoln Riley as you were when he was hired?
No, not as high as when he was hired, because I really same thing. I thought it was the best hire of all time and was thrilled to death. I'm still happy he's a coach. Last year was definitely very tough. That defense has been really rough for 2 years, though, but they did make a lot of big hires in terms of beefing up that defensive staff. So I was excited about that. So I think that'll help. But he's got to continue to recruit better and keep that quarterback Juju Lewis committed. So they've got some issues now, which I thought 2 years ago they're going to fix it a little faster. But it's been a little bit more of a rebuild after the way last year went. So I'm still sold on him, but not quite as much as I was. So this next year will be interesting, especially entering the Big Ten.
Yeah, welcome to the Big Ten. That's going to be so weird seeing UCLA, USC.
So weird.
Big... Okay, so I want to start positive because Ron Washington is a good friend of ours. We've known Wash for a long, long time. The hire, we are so happy for him to get this second chance. Got to see Wash and have him on the program at the winter meetings in Nashville. I'm thrilled for him. Just what has this camp been like? Because Wash brings energy. Wash preaches fundamentals to the very end. Just how different is Angels camp with Ron Washington leading the charge?
It's definitely different. It's fun. He's just such an inspiring guy, even with us in the media every day talking to us. Our media sections are like, you get out of them and you're all pumped up and you want to go out in the field and play. So the players really feed off his energy, even though he's 71 years old. He just knows so much about the game. And he's still such a teacher. So many managers now kind of hang back, and he's someone that really gets in there and gets dirty. He's in there doing all these drills with the infielders. I know he'd love to still be able to throw BP, but he's not able to physically. But the players all really gravitate toward him and really enjoy him so far. The vibe's definitely different. He also plays the guys a lot more too. A lot of the stars, Trout's been in the lineup, last night in Glendale and tonight at home, today at home. And so it's been a little bit of a different feel in terms of that too. But you can tell there's just a lot more energy and kind of excitement. Obviously last year, coming off another 73-win season, expectations are definitely lower externally after losing Ohtani. And not having Ohtani here too is also just a big difference in general in terms of the fact there's a lot less people here. We used to have 40 media members covering Ohtani's every move, and now there's usually 2 to 4 of us in camp. So that does change the vibe a little bit too, even with the players, because they're in the clubhouse a little bit more often now. When Ohtani was there and there's that much media, they weren't around as much. So a little less of a circus, I guess you could say too here. I think it's helped kind of keep guys a little bit more focused.
Yeah, the video is catching. I think we're catching. All right, so we're back. There's it's not like that interesting, I think, for our fan base to talk about, but it is for me because there are just these big looming issues. In the end, it's little things that win games. It's pitching. It's better defense. It's walking less guys. It's a lot of the same thing with the A's or any teams that are bad. But there are these big issues, like you mentioned, Ohtani being gone, Artie Moreno. He's back in. Is he selling? Is he not selling? Trout's health. Can he play a full season? Will we see a full season? And then Anthony Rendon just continues to shoot himself in the foot. It's like these things are the big issues, but I know that, how do you play defense? How are you going to pitch? How, walk less guys? Like there's all these little things that'll help the Angels play better, but there's these big looming issues. What's that like in camp? Because you can't get away from them.
Yeah, this organization's had a lot of that over the years, a lot of distractions, a lot of outside issues, whether it's from front office stuff or just, being a lot of lawsuits in this organization. So they've been through it all. And even Ohtani with all the stuff that he brought could be a little bit of a distraction. So I think they're doing a good job. I think Washington trying to get all that out of there and kind of just focus on baseball. But there's still a lot more than that. Rendon, with his comments early and about how, baseball is not a priority. And it's just the way he shoots himself in the foot. Of course, it is a priority to him, but it's just one of those things where he just says things that are always flippant, come off poorly, and I don't know why he does it, but it can be a distraction, absolutely. And then Trout, even talking early on, he didn't rule out the fact that maybe in the future he'd ask for a trade. He didn't say that he's asking for one at all, and he's not trying to get out of here by any means, but it's the first time he at least talked about that. So there is some of that, absolutely. And then even just, the GMs in the last year of his deal too as well. And he's been in a tough spot, losing Ohtani and then really this offseason, the only big move, if you want to call it big, was signing Robert Stevenson, the reliever, for 3 years and $33 million. So you're right. I think right now the new pitching coaches too have come in here and really tried to bring in more of that mentality of not walking guys, getting ahead of hitters. It sounds simple, but just things like that to kind of help this young staff kind of get over the hump. Because the last year, a lot of those guys took a step backward, and I think they're trying to get these guys on the right track. I mean, they really expect to fully compete, maybe internally, but externally, it's hard to see it just on paper with the way that this roster is constructed after losing Ohtani.
I think about in my career, some of the best players I've ever covered and seen. When you talk about Bonds and you talk about Griffey and you talk about Ricky Henderson and you talk about some of these guys, I mean, Trout's up there with these guys. To me, it's better for baseball when the great players stay with one organization. I'm tired of talking about these people criticizing Trout for leaving. There's something to be said to play in front of a fan base and have decades of fans remember you. And someday when the Angels do get their new ballpark, they put that big statue out there of you. I think that means more. I hate when people say Trout should leave and they try and criticize him. That's ridiculous. You should want to stay with an organization for your entire career. And speaking of that's another thing fans don't want to talk about. Obviously, we're dealing with it with relocation to Vegas, everything. People forget. You got Fenway, you got Wrigley, but the three oldest parks after that are the Coliseum, Dodger Stadium, and the Big A. We're talking about some old stadiums, and Dodger Stadium's kind of being grandfathered in there as a classic, but the Big A and the Coliseum aren't. And I know that the Angels need a new ballpark, and there's been some scandals around. Like, where are we with the Angels getting a new home?
Not very far, to be honest. They did have some scandals. The FBI got involved. Artie Moreno talked about it a little bit early in spring, but right now there's really no momentum at all. I mean, the city's still kind of reeling from what happened with that, the mayor there, and some issues with the FBI investigating that. So sadly, not on the horizon, but they do need to get fixed. Whether it's renovating it completely or moving or building a new one on the same property, I don't really see them leaving. At least the area, they're not going to leave Southern California, and I don't think even the Anaheim area. I don't think they'd leave there either. But they got to figure out that stadium, and then soon, because it is starting to show its age, or has been for a while now, and it's another issue with this franchise. And same with the spring training complex here too. Cool little ballpark, great location, but also showing its age, and they've been trying to renovate that for years too. So both facilities definitely are in need of an upgrade for sure.
Hey, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the game. Let's do this again during the season. And then we're going to have, when we start doing a little college football preview, because, we all love college football. Are you excited to buy your first USC merchandise with Big Ten on it?
Yeah, I think so. I still feel a little bad. I'm still a Pac-12 guy. I'm a West Coast guy. I don't love the fact that we're abandoning the West Coast, but yeah, it'll be interesting. Buy some Big Ten gear, and yeah, I love my SC stuff all the time, so I'm sure I'll have plenty of Big Ten gear coming up. I'm excited for the first when they first play their first Big Ten matchup.
Well, if you think that's weird, how about the first Cal and Stanford gear that says ACC? Do we lose it?
Yeah, and even Stanford baseball and Cal baseball playing an ACC, and it's crazy. That doesn't make any sense to me. Hopefully, maybe down the line they fix this and let football be its own thing, and then get the rest of the things in the right conferences, because it doesn't make sense to be playing in the Midwest and East Coast when you're from the West Coast. But that's my opinion. So.
Hey, great stuff. Enjoy the rest of spring. We'll talk to you during the regular season.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me on.
Here's the deal, and we discovered this at Camelback Ranch. So they can build brand new facilities. They can pour a bunch of money into the old facilities. Spring training has an issue with two things, and the great Johnny Doskow will attest to this. No coffee and Wi-Fi sucks.
Well, Johnny can talk about the parking as well. I mean, he had an issue with
That's on Johnny. That's on Johnny. But nobody has coffee, and the Wi-Fi sucks. It's terrible. Yeah. It's literally like, how hard is it? So I believe most of facilities down there are Cox Cable, which is a Southern California deal. They're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. He's good, though. He's a mainstay for us. Yeah. He's great. Yeah, there are a lot of issues. Like they're like, I mean, their outfield's Mickey Moniak's gonna be back. You gotta hope Ward's gonna be healthy. You gotta hope Trout's gonna be healthy. Shannonwell is a guy that can't. Did he make his debut against us, or it was like one of his first games against us?
Yeah, I don't know if it was his debut.
Neto is a young kid. I mean, Renifo's a good player. I love me some Logan Hoppy because I want to get into business with him and start a pub outside. I mean, you start looking at the starting rotation, Detmers, they'll have Sandoval back. Tyler Anderson's now there coming over from the Dodgers. Griffin Canning, who sounds like he should be at a country club. And then Silseth.
One of the fastest workers in baseball, Chase Silseth.
So it's like they could be better. I mean, can Rendon stay healthy? But they have such major issues that looking at their previews don't cut. Like the owner, is he in or out? Is Artie Moreno's now saying he's in. Well, he floated he wanted to sell. Hell, even Joe Lacob was like, I'll buy the team. I mean, Artie, are you in or you out? Trout, is he going to be here? I think he should. He's saying he wants to be. I agree, and he should be. How much does he have left? I mean, the guy, I know when it comes to just playing the game, he's got a lot left. The question is, how many games can he give you? Because he hasn't played a full season in a couple of years. Rendon is literally the worst contract. I'll say it. You want a hot take? The worst free agent contract of all time. Because it's bad all around. It's bad on the field. It's bad optics. He continues to be a train wreck. I mean, Strasburg, that's been bad, but you know what? At least Strasburg won you a championship. He stayed with the franchise, could be healthy. Now how they pay him out has been a disaster. But really the Rendon thing it's just awful. It's awful. So they have these, and everybody forgets. He was kind of breaking up, but yeah, there was bribes. There was all kinds of stuff with the mayor's office. The FBI got involved. Their ballpark situation is a train wreck. And people don't think about it. The oldest ballpark in baseball is Fenway. Well, that's now never going to be torn down. Same thing with Wrigley. Is their classified, what is their exact classification? I can't remember. They have it's like the same one they have at like Soldier Field. See what it is. They have like special, or I mean, you can call it a historical, but I think they have special.
Federal landmark?
Okay, yes. I knew there was something about it. So they're not getting torn down, right? But the three oldest ballparks, hey, Californians, I hate to tell you, Oakland, LA, and Anaheim are the three oldest ballparks in baseball, not counting the two classics. Everybody else has gotten new digs. Padres got new digs. Giants got new digs. Dodger Stadium, they're just going to renovate. They're not going to change. I get it. So Anaheim and Oakland, two oldest, not counting the landmarks. And Oakland and Anaheim, never going to be landmarks.
Yeah, they updated Dodger Stadium.
Everybody else. Don't come. Well, what about Tampa? Now, Tampa hasn't been in the game since the 60s. The 60s. Before we were all born. I mean, it is what it is. And now, I don't know what you do. They've got to figure it out because the Big A is old. What year was it built? It's before the Coliseum. Is it 65 or 64?
Let's see. Pull up the old web browser here.
You could have just Googled the Big A.
Well, I know, but I wanted to have. Let's see. Dodger Stadium was 1962. 66 was the first game at Angel Stadium.
When was it built?
Hold on. Well, their first game was in 66. They were playing.
Yeah, but when was it built? Was it built in 65? 64.
Groundbroken 64.
This is why I didn't want your little list. 2 years earlier. The stadium's been built in 1964. It's a long time ago, man. And what we have learned with these stadiums is that the guts of these stadiums, you can renovate, you can put new bars, you can do, we're going to fix certain things with luxury boxes, but the guts of the stadium are so old and so bad. And that's why everybody has said that I've ever talked to, they say, tear it down. It's more efficient. It's cheaper to do a full renovation. You got to renovate the entire guts of it, tear it down and build a new one. And then the whole stadium operation will be, look at what everybody tells you. Fenway Park, the clubhouses are awful. Everything floods. Have you ever been to Fenway Park?
I have not yet.
Dude, the bathrooms flood every game. Every single time you go there, you're standing in water. They flood every game. Wrigley Field, it's not modern. I get it, though. I don't want to tear them down. I'm not saying that. But they have their charm, whatever. But if you don't have that charm, you need new. I've been very fortunate in my life to travel to baseball stadiums and the new football stadiums. I mean, that was one of the most depressing things was coming back when I worked for the Raiders. You go to we played Minnesota. Minnesota Stadium is amazing. It's basically the better version of Jerry's World because the same people that built Jerry's World built the one in Minnesota. And they built it after. So they took that, they always build something. What can we fix? What can we do better? The Viking Stadium is incredible.
U.S. Bank. I knew it was a bank. I couldn't remember which bank it was.
You go there, it's incredible. And then you come home back to the Coliseum. I mean, come on. I mean, we're in 2024. 2024. We're talking about places built in the 60s. And all the people get on Twitter and you have all your hot takes. None of you were even born in the 60s. Hell, a lot of you weren't even born in the 70s. The 60s. Utilizing facilities that were built in the 60s? I mean, come on. All the arenas that have been built, the football stadiums that have been built, the baseball stadiums that have been built. You can't be playing in stuff that was built in the 60s. Well, we will. We will. It's going to be no year up, but the Angels got issues, man. The Angels got issues. They got some serious issues, but they can be better by the little things like what we talked about. A's, I said, if you're just joining us, the number one stat, the A's led all of baseball last year was 694 walks. 694 walks allowed. That's horrible. Angels were at 636. There's certain things, it's a sport, right? There's certain things that you do. If you do them correctly, you win games. It's that simple. You don't walk people, your pitching will be better. You pick the ball up, throw the ball better, you're going to be better and win games. Your defense has to be better, your pitching has to be better, and it all starts there. Otherwise, you got to play home run derby every day. And oh, by the way, the Angels, they're another, you know who they remind me of? They remind me of the Giants. How about stolen bases? As we're sitting here talking about time to steal a bunch of bags, the Giants were last in stolen bases, correct? With 57?
Yes.
I brought that to your attention.
I believe it was them that were last.
Angels were second to last. Angels stole 72 bags last year, and Ohtani stole 20 of them. We're trying to get this game to be more athletic. We're trying to get baseball to be more athletic the way it used to be. When you're the Giants and Angels and you're dead last in stolen bases, that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
And how about the Matt Chapman contract? Oh, Boris. For the first time, Boris is, is he a billionaire? He's got to be.
If he's not, he's close to. Remember, he sits behind the home plate at the
Boris
Angel
is
Stadium.
taking Matt Chapman, folks, was offered the qualifying offer from the Toronto Blue Jays, which he turned down. So we've already talked about on this program how Matt Chapman turned down 150 from the A's, turned down 120 million from the Blue Jays. He didn't take the qualifying offer, which is 20 point what?
I think it's 20.3.
What's he getting this year with the Giants? Basically, he's a one-year deal. These things with opt-outs, they're year to year. He got 1 year from the Giants for what?
18.
What?
Yeah, 1 year for $18 million.
So Matt Chapman, in the end, is taking a $2 million pay cut to play for the Giants because he didn't take the qualifying offer for the Blue Jays?
Yeah. Then after that, it's a $17 million player option for 25 and then 18 for 26. So
he took less money than the qualifying offer.
Yeah.
At first, they tried to bill it. He made 20 the first year. No, it's 18. He took less money than the It's one of the disaster free agency run for a player that we've seen. You turn down 150, then you turn down 120. You don't take the qualifying offer, and you got 18. Oh, and by the way, you're getting taxed 13 point whatever % on all 81 games playing for a California team. Matt Chapman, wow. The amount of money left on the table. I hope he goes out and has a good year so he can finally get one of those contracts. But him and Boris, their decision-making has cost him millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, remember, the guy that won the Cy Young, it's a Boris guy, still isn't signed. And the guy that everyone talked about how great he was in the World Series with the Rangers as a starting pitcher, Jordan Montgomery, is not signed.
We're in March, man. What's the date today?
March 6th.
March 6th. So you haven't signed yet, and it's March 6th?
When I listened to the front office show on Sunday with Jim Bowden and JP Morosi, Bowden said if one of those two guys signed, you're not getting them to start in the season until mid-April because they're not going to be ready to pitch. He said probably around April 15th.
Boris will tell you, we're working out. They're working out. Like Snell's throwing every 5 days. Montgomery's throwing every 5 days. Yada, yada, yada. They're dead on. And you sign one of these guys, and it's going to be, I guess, to a big contract, but I don't know. Can you really say that? With what you've seen happen with Chapman and Bollinger? Is it really going to be a big contract? I mean,
probably not. It'll have opt-outs.
Yeah, they'll go, it's 5 years, 4 years. Opt-outs every year. I mean, yeah, you're right. You want to sign a guy to a big I guess looking at the first month of the season of a long-term deal, I guess wouldn't be that big of a deal. But if I'm an organization, I just sign this guy and he's my new shiny toy and I don't get to use him until who knows?
Look at the Red Sox with Giolito.
Yeah. UCL. Is it now that they didn't say he's out for the year?
No. Jeff Passan of ESPN reported that the initial imaging showed Boston Red Sox starter Lucas Giolito as a partially torn UCL and flexor strain and could miss the 2024 season. Apparently, he's going to have a second option to see what's going to happen on Monday.
Yeah, Tommy John will see you next year.
Yeah, and
don't delay it. If you're going to do the PRP injection, I mean, how many times does that work?
There are some A's injury updates as well. Martin put it out right after our show started. Martin Gallegos of MLB.com. So we knew about Luis Medina. So he's saying he will miss the start of the season. Grade 2 MCL sprain, which Kotze talked about.
Not a bad thing, folks, because you now can just put him on the IL and you don't have to do that dance with what are we going to do with him? Put him in the bullpen. I do not want to see Luis Medina in the bullpen.
Yeah.
I mean, he can start the season on the IL, and the fact that he's out of options doesn't hurt you.
Nick Allen is dealing with a mid-back strain. He's not in the lineup today. Obviously, Darrell Hernandez will be playing shortstop.
All right.
Aletnis Diaz had a groin strain. He's resuming baseball activity. And Freddie Tarnok had a flare-up on his surgically repaired right hip and is currently shut down.
Only thing that worries me, I like what the limited that we've seen. I like his arm. You know, he's a big, skinny guy, and he's got a good arm, but he's starting to become a guy that can't stay healthy, and that becomes a little bit alarming. By the way, do you know that a lot of the influencers, the young influencers, like to talk about how they're obsessed with stuff? I'm so obsessed with these shoes. I know this because of my twin girls. So that's a new thing everybody wants to. They're obsessed with this. I can see. I'm not going to say that, but I'm obsessed with, since the TikTokers and the influencers are doing it, I'm obsessed with this hat. I love this hat, the spring training hat. By the way, the spring training shirt. You're welcome, Vittorio DiBartolo, me repping your merch and selling you your merch. What side is the Arizona on?
On the other side.
This side?
Yeah. There you go.
24.
I have it in my bag.
I'm going to be like a 21-year-old college influencer. I'm so obsessed with this hat. You think Jessica Kleinschmidt will use the word obsessed this year on our show?
I'm not an odds maker, but I'll say yes.
Hopefully she's not listening, because if she's listening, she will. Gotta have Jess on. When's the last time we had Jess on?
Last season. You think Johnny will use the word obsessed?
Bro, I'm not using that, bro. Did Johnny make it into Tempe? That's all I want to know.
Let's find out.
Where's Johnny? Johnny, are you in Tempe?
I am. I'm in Tempe.
I'm worried about your Wi-Fi because we had Rhett Bollinger on. The Wi-Fi was rough. How is your Wi-Fi?
I think it's pretty good so far. I'm just messing with you. No, we're good. We're good. That's what.
What? Oh, good stuff, Johnny. Good stuff. Good
Hey, look
stuff.
who's here. Look who's with me.
Hey, I was talking about. Tell him I was. Can he hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you, Chris.
I was talking about going to the Catronio compound there in Gilbert, Arizona today on the show. Very impressive.
Thank you. Thank my wife.
Now I know where all the money goes for the A's.
It must be nice to get it. So you got an invite over there, right? You got an invite there, right?
I mean, we're like kings, hanging by the pool, the mansion. We're eating steak. I mean,
I believe in 2020, early 2027. Veronica's just going to say, you know what? I'm going to invite him. She's going to invite me at some point, 2027. You don't think so? Well,
homemade guacamole, you name it.
Oh my gosh, really?
God, living like a king.
Thanks.
I mean, I want to be Vince when I grow up.
We're work friends, bro. That's what we are. That's what me and Vinny are.
Totally. You know how long it took me to get the invite, get there?
How long? How many years?
Oh, 12, 13 years.
12 years.
Let's be clear. Townsend and my wife are like best shopping friends internationally. That's all they did. That's all my wife did was do all the shopping for the daughters when they were like 5 years old in Japan. So they're like,
well, don't forget,
best friends.
I got you. Okay.
Don't forget, your wife picked out the pearl that I gave my wife in Japan also.
Yeah, she's been known. She's good with jewelry, as I've come to find out on many occasions.
She's very talented with money. There is no question.
No doubt. No doubt. Love her dearly. She's the best.
Cody has left the studio. I don't know I don't know how we do Know Your Angels, but I guess we can start off with this, Johnny. Luis Medina, we're never going to say, I'm glad a guy got injured. Would never say that, but glass half full, not starting the season, able to play, and he's on the IL. From a front office standpoint, you don't have to make that call on options. Is he in the rotation? Is he in the bullpen? He can heal, come back, start in Vegas. See where I'm going with that?
You're a glass half full guy for the most part. So I do see where you're going with that. And yeah, man, hopefully it's not too serious and he's back soon, because he's got a pretty good mindset going into this year after a great winter. So yeah, I hear what you're saying on that. It's going to be interesting to see who. Vinny and I were breaking down the roster a little bit today, a few moments ago, just trying to figure out who's going to be on that 26-man. But there's still some questions to be answered.
Well, think about this. I thought he was 25. He's only 24 years. That electric arm is only 24 years old.
May 3rd, 99. That's right. 24 years old.
Yeah, you can't. He's got to be. You got to figure out every single way to let him continue to grow and grow here with this organization.
Yep.
We were talking about the Angels, Johnny, and there are so many issues that they have that it's beyond just talking about baseball day in and day out. It's the owner. Is he in? Is he out? What are they going to do with their ballpark situation? Because a lot of fans probably had no idea, but we were getting into it a little bit where, the FBI had to get involved with the mayor's office and their process, and that has set them back. I mean, who knows what their ballpark situation is? Can Trout stay healthy? Is he going to be there long term? Ohtani's gone. Rendon's contract and Rendon himself continue to be a dumpster fire.
It's looking like one of the worst contracts in recent memory, right? Just with everything and that Rendon said. You wonder how his comments filtered into the clubhouse, right? I mean, is it a big deal? I was trying to ask the Angels guys a little bit about it today, but look, I mean, those comments don't go away. You make a comment like that and you're one of your highest paid players. I mean, it's like, look, baseball's a job. We know that, but maybe keep some of that stuff to yourself, right? If you really do believe that it's not a passion for you, maybe keep some of that stuff to yourself. It was odd. It was an odd thing to say publicly, So yeah, I mean, it's who knows? Apparently he is a pretty well-liked guy in the clubhouse, from what I understand. I talked to Stassi and a bunch of other guys about it, and they do like him in the clubhouse. I just don't think those comments, whether they like him or not, went over all that well with the guys. Can't see it happening.
Yeah, Stassi was supposed to join us at Los Olivos in downtown Scottsdale. How's he doing?
He's doing well, actually. He's doing well. Baby's doing well. Baby's on 19 or 20 pounds, so he's doing well, man. He's enjoying his time with the White Sox. He's still in touch with a lot of the Angels guys. So yeah, we got to get him on A's Cast, man. You got to get him on A's Cast. You have to.
I remember he signed with UCLA. He was at Yuba City, right? Was he at a high school or a junior college?
High school.
High school, yeah. So he's in Yuba, signs with UCLA, but then we drafted him, and the rest is history. When you think about Ohtani, now you're the king of spring training right now. You did all those games last year. You're doing the games this year, and you see what it's like life with Ohtani last year and life without Ohtani and all the coverage and all the people. Just how different is it being there in Tempe and there's no Ohtani?
It's different. The buzz is gone, and that's the thing. The $100,000 question really for the Angels is, how will this organization move on? I read an article the other day about how the Angels, equity-wise, in getting players from Japan, it's going to be really hard for a long time just from losing Ohtani. From that standpoint, players from Japan are going to be hesitant to come over to the Angels. It's just one of those things, the way just losing Ohtani, whether it be right or wrong, it is going to be difficult for the Angels to sign players from Japan right now. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, it's a different atmosphere. I'm sure some people will say, look, Ohtani's gone. Let's start over, start from scratch, give other guys an opportunity here. But I think, the over-under on the Angels win total this year, Towny, is 71.5. I look at that roster, and I feel it is a roster that will win. It's a team that will win over 71 games. Some people disagree with me. But I just think you look at the offense, you look at the pitching. I think you have enough. It just depends on some of these guys, Sandoval, Griffin, Canning, some of these guys. Now, I think will they sign Blake Snell? Right, that's the big question too. Will they sign a Blake Snell? They do need one or two more starters, to be able to compete. But I think they win over 71 games.
Well, your Blake Snell, it's March 6th. Clearly a big deal is not out there. And it's funny how everybody is negotiating with Scott Boras right now. They're like, oh, Scott, you got that big contract that you want us to match? Why don't you go take that big contract? And then day after day after day, Bellinger didn't sign one. Chapman didn't sign one. And now Montgomery and Snell haven't signed one. And if your teams, you're playing poker, and all these teams in baseball have called Boras's bluff. And Boras, when these guys don't sign big contracts, everybody now knows, I gotcha. So here's a 1-year deal with a couple options, Mr. reigning NL Cy Young. Well, it's March 6th. You're the reigning NL Cy Young Award winner, and you haven't signed. Hell, you will not be ready for at least the first 2, maybe 3 weeks of the season.
No question. Look, you and I have talked about it. I think teams are fearful right now with all these injuries. You go down the list, the injuries to the starting pitchers right now, it's crazy to start the year. 18 of the best, I listened to the radio today, 18 of the top starting pitchers, 9 of them are starting off on the IL. 9 of the 18. Everybody at some point is going to have a Tommy John, maybe a second Tommy John, the way guys are throwing now. They're throwing all those breaking balls right now, the 100-mile-an-hour fastball. So, look, teams are fearful that these guys are going to get hurt. So they're fearful of the starting pitchers getting the long-term deals. 7-8 year deals for starting pitchers. It's just not going to happen.
Nope. And by the way, you make a great point. I didn't even think about this. Yeah, if you're a Japanese player, it's going to be – it could be as long as Ohtani's around, how many guys are going to be like, yeah, I want to sign in Anaheim? There's going to be I mean, I'm not nobody, but lesser Japanese players, maybe, but the top end, no way.
Yeah, whether it's right or wrong, it's just kind of the way Ohtani has such pull in the world, right? The world stage that
the world.
Yes.
He's like a soccer player.
Football. That's right.
I mean, he's a global superstar. All right, are you ready, Johnny? When you were growing up, I know you love some Vin Scully. When you were growing up in Southern California, were you actually a Dodger or an Angels fan?
You know, I was a Dodger fan, but I went to the Angel games a lot because what we would do is we got our $2.50 nachos, we got our $2 ticket, and for $4.50 we'd take our nachos and we'd sneak into the first few rows of the seats because it wasn't that crowded. So for $4.50 we got nachos and like third row seats behind the dugout. So that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, when I was a kid growing up, from San Diego to Anaheim. Back then, when there wasn't traffic when we were growing up back then,
I
mean, you basically go up 5. It was about an hour and 15, 20 minutes. There are times we just go to Disneyland for the day and then go over. You go down Catella, and right there's the Big A, and you go to I saw Angels A's. I saw Angels against all kinds of people. We just went to some games, but that's when the Big A was fully enclosed for the Rams back in the old. Were you who was your guy? Was it Bobby Grich, Doug DeCinze?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw Nolan pitch with the Angels. You know, Frank Tanana. I saw Gary Pettis. Saw Devon White. Saw all those guys. It was fun. They were fun. Wally Joyner, of course. So yeah, a lot of great Angels. Don Baylor, Reggie Jackson. You bet.
All right. Well, since you are Mr. Angel, it's time for Know Your Angels.
All right.
All right, Johnny, this one should be easy if you're an Angels honk. What is the name of the famous Angels mascot that got popular during their World Series run?
No.
Is it the Rally Monkey?
There it is, the Rally Monkey.
The Rally Monkey.
Yep.
The Rally Monkey right here. All right,
Johnny. How many times has Mike Trout won the MVP award?
Trout has won the MVP a total of 3 times.
Correct, Johnny. Right on the nose. Pun intended.
Doesn't know the Rally Monkey, but he knows Trout's MVPs.
How many World Series titles have the Angels won?
How many World Series titles have the Angels won? They have won a total of 1 in 2002.
That is correct. Johnny's on fire.
They've only been to 1.
I know that's why it's a trick question. This is if you can get this, Towny didn't know it. A lot of people don't know it.
I didn't know this.
Who was the last Angel to win the Cy Young Award?
The last Angel to win the Cy, I will say, it was. You know what? I'm gonna say it's Mark Langston.
It's not Mark Langston. It happened a little more recent than that.
What's that? Bartolo Colon.
Bartolo Colon is correct. 2005.
I did not have that. I thought you were going to go Chuck Finley.
Oh, okay.
I was a big Jared Washburn guy. Who was the winningest manager in Angels history? Come on, this is a layup.
Layup.
Obviously, Mike Scioscia.
There you go, Mike Scioscia.
Dick Williams.
I didn't look to see how many former A's managers were also Angels managers.
Yeah, Dick Williams. I give you that one.
Okay. What famous movie is featured around the Halos?
Angels in the Outfield.
Oh, well, there it is, Johnny. Correct. Ding, ding. I was the 1979 AL MVP for the California Angels.
Oh, not for Anaheim.
That would be Don Baylor.
That's correct, Don Baylor.
Not for Anaheim, not for Orange County. They were for the state. They were our state's team, the California Angels.
Which singing cowboy was the original owner of the
Autry?
That's terrible. This is layup.
That's an insult. That's an insult.
This is like a layup drill before the NBA game.
All right. I'm a Angels broadcaster and a 5-time Gold Glove winner and fellow San Jose State Spartan pitcher. Who am I?
Greatest Spartan of all time.
A 5-time Gold Glove Award winner.
With the Angels. He's won it more than that, but 5 times he won with the Angels.
works next door to you. Come
Yeah.
on.
Come
Johnny.
on.
Mark Langston.
Oh, Langston. I'm sorry.
Bollinger.
Wow, that's awful, Johnny. We got
Sorry.
we got to send you layups of Gene Autry, but you don't know Mark Langston. That's terrible.
I set the record for most saves in a season with the Angels in 2000.
Troy Percival.
No,
That is wrong.
no.
Oh, say it again. Most what?
I set the record for most saves in a season with the Angels in 2008.
The most ever. The
record's 62. Who am I?
Ever.
What year?
2008. Major member of the 02 World Series team.
He set up Percival for the World Series.
Oh yeah, Francisco Rodriguez.
There you go.
A-Rod.
There you go.
God.
Yeah, K-Rod, yep.
I'm an Angels outfielder who played my whole career for the team.
Most home runs in Angels history.
That would be Tim Salmon.
There you go. Correct. All
also on Angels pregame on Fox Sports West or whatever.
Bally Sports. Yeah.
Bally Sports.
Yeah. This one's a layup.
They're Bally. I thought they
were Bally.
That's another bankrupt.
I threw 4 no-hitters for the Angels.
Nolan Ryan.
There you go. All right, a couple more, Johnny.
Jim Abbott.
I do have a Jim Abbott on here, but it's too easy. Which Angels pitcher was born without a right hand?
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Jim Abbott.
My number 29 is retired by the Angels.
Rodney Klein Carew.
Very good.
I was an all-star in 1982 and also led the league in strikeouts with the Angels.
And can I give you another hint? He is one of the only players that I know of, but he was the first of the time to ever get a percentage of the gate.
1982.
Correct.
Percentage of the gate. Gene Autry gave him a percentage of the gate. Who is the one guy that could command that in 1982?
He was a pitcher.
No, he led the league in strikeout. Like he struck out the most.
He struck out the most as a hitter.
Oh, he struck the most as a hitter. Oh, Reggie Jackson.
There you go.
Reginald Martinez Jackson.
Yes.
I was an Anaheim Angel in 1997 before returning to the A's again.
In 19 what?
I was an Angel in 1997 before returning to the A's again.
Tony Phillips?
Was that the fourth time he returned?
Yeah.
He's one of the great A's Angels of all time.
Oh, Ricky. Okay, gotcha. Ricky, all right.
I mean, when you think Angel, you think Mariner, you think Dodger, you think Padre, you think Red Sox.
2 more, Johnny.
You think Mets, you think Ricky Henderson.
I played my college baseball at Campbell University.
And I believe he is in the game. Is he in the lineup
I haven't
today?
seen the Angels lineup, but
he should be in the lineup today.
Is it I don't know, Shonwell? I don't know who.
He's Florida Atlantic. That's a good guess. That'd be Zachary Neto.
Oh, Neto. Okay, nice.
So I think I said I had one more. I was going to come up on the top of my head, but I don't remember what it was.
Oh, your Ricky was the best.
Yeah.
What great Angel returned back to the A's in 1997? That'd be Halo great Ricky Henderson.
The other one I think of, this guy once said it's incredibly hard to play first base.
That would be Ron Washington.
There you go. So I had to get Washington there somehow.
All right, Johnny, you guys have a wonderful call today.
All right.
And we'll talk. Hey, by the way, tomorrow we'll get back to, I want you to highlight a player for me.
Okay.
We had a lot of info to get with you today.
Yeah, know your Guardians tomorrow. We already did it, Johnny. So just be prepared for something else. I don't know.
A player that
yeah.
You're watching right now and you're like, you know what? I want to talk about him.
Okay. We're going to highlight a player tomorrow for the Guardians.
It'll be your pick to click.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
All right, buddy. See ya.
All right. Good to see you, brothers. See you guys.
Hey, Johnny.
I think you just, every single time you bring Ricky Henderson up, you just like, oh, that's right, he played there.
I remember. I will always personally remember him as a great Padre, but
well, he did get career hit number 3,000 and scored the record run with the Padres. I don't know what he did with the Halos. Was he an Anaheim Angel?
Yes.
He was not a Los Angeles Angel or a California Angel. Ricky was an Anaheim Angel.
Yes, I was looking at I made sure to call the team by its correct name, what they were called in 1997. 1997, he played for both the Padres and the
Don't forget
Angels.
about Blue Jay Ricky Henderson, along with Yankee Ricky Henderson.
What about Mariner?
I mentioned Mariners already. I got Dodgers, Mariners, Padres, Met, Blue Jay, Yankee. Am I missing anybody? Oh, Red Sox. Great Red Sox. I think Carl Yastrzemski. I think Ted Williams. I think Ricky Henderson. Great Red Sox. When did he play for the Red Sox?
2002 when he was 43 years old.
2002?
Yeah, and he's still hold on. I mean,
still don't remember. I don't ever remember watching Ricky Henderson as a Red Sox.
When Ricky played with the Padres at age 42 in 2001, he still sold 25 bases.
Oh God! How about were they the Long Beach Surf Dogs?
Something like that. Yeah,
I think Ricky was a Long Beach Surf Dog. That's crazy. And you really want Mike Trout not to spend his whole career in Anaheim? Let's face it. Ricky didn't want to be that guy. Ricky was chasing dollars, which, hey, it's cool. But do you really want Mike Trout not to be an Angel? I mean, that's something that should be special, right? Like Tom Brady going to win with Tampa was or Joe Montana going to Kansas City. You want to see guys play their entire career.
Peyton Manning with Denver.
Yeah. I mean, you want to see guys play their whole career. That's why Dan Marino played his whole career. John Elway played his whole career. Like, you stay there. You mean like Aaron Rodgers is a Jet?
I still love when people put out the highlight of Rodgers running on the field with the American flag. Like Aaron Rodgers is a Jet, and that's all it is. It's just him.
I mean, Ted Williams to Joe DiMaggio to Mickey Mantle, and then to the player, George Brett, Mike Schmidt, then Cal Ripken and Tony Gwynn. These guys played their entire career in one city. That means decades of fans got to watch you. When you play 20-plus years, that's all the different age groups of these fans get to watch you and love you and remember you forever. And these hot take guys are, you got to win a championship. Let me tell you something. You can have all the rings you want, but to have a statue put out in front of a stadium to where when you're dead, what are your rings going to mean when you're dead? Nothing. They're relics. Rings and trophies and all that crap are just relics. A statue in front of a stadium is forever. Willie Mays. You go to a Giants game, and it's badass that Willie Mays has that. It's Willie Mays Plaza, and there's Willie Mays. I know he played for the Mets a little bit, but there's Willie Mays. You don't think that's cool? You don't think when you go to Seattle, I know Griffey left, but Tony Gwynn's statue out and left in Petco Park in the park thing they got, that statue's awesome. It's massive of Tony Gwynn. You don't want that? I'm going to chase a ring because it's about rings because I do a morning show on ESPN and I'm a hot take guy. Take your hot takes and stick it. Legacy means more than what? So I can look when you're dead, I can look on Wikipedia that you won a championship?
I was going to say a good example of this is one of our good friends. He has a statue built in Chicago, Blummer.
Jeff Blum's children, grandchildren. I mean, that's the thing. It's like for the rest of your life, and then after you're gone, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, they can all go to this ballpark and see this statue of you and of who you were as a man and as a professional. Where do World Series rings go?
They get passed down.
My grandfather played in the 1948 World Series. They got it. Obviously, they didn't win. The Indians won, but my brothers got it. My brothers, it's probably in a drawer somewhere. I'd rather have a statue. I'd rather have the legacy and the statue. We're so in this hot take world. Championships. Are Giants fans like, okay, forget Giants fans. Give me Halo fans. Are people still clamoring over the 0-2 World Series now? Halo fans are pissed. Championships, in reality, championships only last so long. They buy you a grace period for only so long. And yeah, when you're an old man, people can say this guy won championships. But when you get to be an old guy, what's that, at a golf tournament and a banquet? Who cares? Statue? I'd rather have a statue.
Yeah, I don't think people are.
Joe Montana to Dwight Clark. I'd rather have a statue. I'd rather be a franchise guy.
You're right about the Angels and that. I'm trying to think of another parallel with, trying to think of teams that
I'd rather be
won.
Cal Ripken Jr. won it, his first year? First or second year, and then never won again? And people would say, why doesn't Cal leave Baltimore? I think I'd rather be Cal Ripken and be known as the Orioles guy and have a big-ass statue.
Now, remember, Mike Trout's never won a playoff game. Do you think people are more mad about that, or that they're mad that they haven't won a World Series? How about you win a playoff game first? Mike Trout hasn't been in the playoffs since 2000. This will be the 10th season since the last time they went to the playoffs. It's incredible for a team that has so many high expectations every year. Every year, no offense to Buster Olney, but Buster comes out every year. I think the Angels are going to win the West. Yeah,
but to me, it just shows really how much these people really don't cover the entire sport. They're so East Coast centric that they look at the name Trout and Ohtani and thought they should win, and they didn't look at everything else, right? And that's not how sports are played. Rosters, 26 from 25 now to 26. Your 26-man roster combined with your 40-man roster, your depth is what wins. You need to have depth. It's not a couple guys with big names. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. And everybody who's trying to play the pitch clock game and pitchers being hurt, and I know Johnny mentioned it, and as you mentioned it, like you mentioned Sonny Gray today. Pitch clock hurt his hamstring. Pitch clock hurt Medina's knee. These are not all arm injuries, by the way. And I will have because we're running out of time, I will have for you tomorrow proof that the pitch clock from last year, proof that you can't really say the pitch clock is injuring players. Based off, not opinion, based off data. How about that?
Yeah, no, it's good. And we also have to get into that.
Because I got an article here from the USA Today about Spencer Strider wants to pump the brake on pitch clock. And they try and do an article in the USA Today about injuries of pitchers' pitch clock, but they put no data in there. Why? Because the data doesn't support. Remember, it's all about a narrative. What's my narrative? But they don't want to give you actual data. The data shows your narrative's wrong. But you got to write an article and you got to produce content. But their data is wrong.
It's perfect that you want to talk about that tomorrow. We have the perfect guest to talk to that about. We're going to have our good friend, the pitching ninja, tomorrow, because he was just recently in Arizona for spring training, visiting different camps and stuff. So, talk to him about the pitch clock and all that, and pitchers being hurt. We also need to get into that article that you and I were discussing heavily over text last night, where they said the top aces in baseball. Every team's ace.
Every team has an ace now. I got on Cody about calling Logan Webb an ace. Every team's got an ace now. Every team. Everybody.
Not only that, they got the wrong ace for the ace staff.
Yeah, it's like it just shows you how dumb it is. Everybody's got an ace. That's like saying every team's elite quarterback. Every team has an elite quarterback?
No.
Man, baseball, we all got aces. All 30 teams have a great pitcher. Data didn't say that, but we all try and.
Well, I can tell you real quick, we're not going into it, but I'll tell you real quick, who do you think they have as the Angels ace?
We'll save it for tomorrow. The Angels ace?
Yeah, because we're playing the Angels today.
Griffin Canning?
It is not Griffin Canning.
Silseth?
It's a Louisville.
Reed Detmers?
There it is, Louisville Cardinal, Reed Detmers.
Get the hell out of here. Enjoy the game. Halos.
We still got two. The games that we have to be out by 12:05.
Okay. We
can go out. Yeah, but real quick, Buster Olney's World Series prediction.
Well, why didn't you tell me? I'm looking at 11:58 thinking I'm going to be late.
We can still go. We'll be up by noon. Buster Olney's World Series prediction. Who do you think it is?
Yankees.
One.
Oh, that's for the American League.
Yeah.
Oh, National League. Dodgers.
No.
Braves.
No.
Then I'm stumped.
Yankees, Phillies World Series. Nothing like the Northeast World Series. Oh, Hembo tomorrow, too. The return of Paul Hembekides from ESPN.
I will bet, Buster Olney, neither of those teams make the World Series next year.
What do you mean? Soto's hitting home runs.
I mean, this year.
Everyone's happy. I keep seeing people tweeting about
Anybody
Soto
want the
home runs.
bet? Anybody want the bet? I'll offer it. Towny's little bookie shop. We can only deal in food bets. Anybody want to bet a food bet? I'll bet you Yankees and Phillies are not in the World Series playing against each other. I'll bet neither of them make the World Series.
You want a hot take?
Yankees don't even make the playoffs?
I would say Yankees don't make the playoffs.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. Oh, what do you mean? Everyone hasn't projected to win the division. Apparently, Baltimore's going to be so much worse this year that they're going to fall off a cliff when they added a good pitcher to their rotation that they didn't have last year.
What, Alex Verdugo?
He's changing the culture for the Yankees.
Alex Verdugo? Really?
Marcus Stroman?
I mean, did anybody see Stroman in the second half? Yankees are going to go out and dominate?
Juan Soto can only walk so much.
I mean, I forgot. This is the year Tampa won't be as good. This is the year.
Their one guy is hurt already. Boz or whatever is coming back from Tommy John. Apparently he's hurt again.
This will be the year that they're not good? Oh, this one. Because it wasn't the one the year before, or the year before, or the year before. This is the year they fall apart. When's Tampa going to fall apart? I doubt Tampa's falling apart.
No, they'll still probably be in the upper 80, high to upper 80s.
Doesn't matter what the names are on the back of the jersey for those guys. Toronto now sucks.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Everyone's like, oh, they're going to fall. Who'd they lose? Chapman?
His 220. Baltimore's going to stink. These kids are all 1 year, and Jackson Holiday's coming.
Yeah, and they have Corbin Burns added to the rotation.
What? Really?
But the Yankees are going to win.
The Yankees, okay. I'll bet you again, and I told everybody, because they do this every year, if the Yankees get off to a hot start, everybody will be talking about it. And do we have to go from 2 years ago where I guaranteed the Yankees wouldn't be in the World Series? Was I correct?
You were correct.
And everybody was calling them historic. And I bet they won't be in the World. They haven't been in the World Series since 2009.
It's a long time ago.
Where were you in 2009?
College.
Yankees haven't been in the World Series since Cody was in college. He's been married twice since then. No offense.
Fact. It is a fact. I was dating the first wife then.
You were in college.
Second year of college.
2009. Where were all of you? I want everybody who's watching and who will watch this replay later. Where were you in 2000? Just think about, where was I in 2009? That's the last time the Yankees were in the World Series. And they've been picked to be in the World Series every year since.
Yep.
That's how ridiculous it is. All right, we got A's, we got Halos from Tempe. We'll see everybody tomorrow at 10 a.m. Enjoy this game, Vince, Johnny, and the rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Oakland A's fans, join your team this spring in Mesa. With nonstop flights direct from Oakland, there's never been a better time to head to the Southwest. Surrounded by the stunning Sonoran Desert, spring training fans know why Arizona is the perfect spring break escape. Miles of trails, shoreline, and sunshine combined for an unforgettable Arizona adventure. There's simply no shortage of things to do, see, and discover in Mesa. Get your visitor's guide at visitmesa.com.
Nestled in the hills of San Jose, minutes from Silicon Valley, Cinnabar Hills Golf Club offers 27 holes of championship golf, a first-class pro shop, practice facility, and great food in the grill. This time of year also means family and business get-togethers. Let the folks at Cinnabar Hills make your event unforgettable while enjoying their award-winning venue. It's all there for you. Championship golf, a great space for any events, and incredible food. See it all at CinnabarHills.com. That's CinnabarHills.com.
This is Chris Townsend. There are two